So, what do actors do? This lecture is going to look at the way actors analyze a script because it's a nice simple way to get at what actors are really doing. This lecture is for students in acting class and in Intro to Theater. So if you're in Intro and I refer to the acting you're going to do, that's why. Anyway, it's all the same information. It is a fallacy that actors' job is to feel something. The audience could not care less what you feel. They want to feel what you make them feel. To base your acting technique on emotion is completely unreliable, and to teach that is completely unethical. It's a very unreliable way to have a career or even just to be an actor. Yes, now to answer the big question, will I ever feel anything? Of course you will. Of course you should. The only thing I have to say to actors when they ask me about how do I feel this emotion, all you can do is get out of your own way. Take your attention off yourself and put it on what your character wants and how they're trying to get what they want. That's all you can do. That on top of releasing your body of tension, because all that misplaced energy is going to prevent your body from being a vessel. And that's what you want. You want your body, you want to get out of your own way physically and emotionally and psychologically so that you can really be in each moment and your body can just be a conduit for the emotion that's going to well up within you if you're really in each moment. So if there's not emotion, there are goals, obstacles, and actions. These are the three most important terms for an actor. You need to be able to read a script and for every moment be able to articulate, what do I want, what's getting in my way of getting it, and how am I trying to overcome that obstacle, which means what am I doing, what's my action. Every single moment of every play contains all three of these. If you can't find them, you need to read more carefully. So, in every moment of every line there is an action. And the action is to overcome the obstacle. Yes, you can say it's to get what I want, but it's really to overcome what's getting in the way of you getting what you want. It's very important to be able to read a script and know how to do this. When an actor is on stage, he or she is doing something, performing an action, and that action is expressed as a verb. This little fill in the blank is a handy way to think about that. I want to blank, blank in order to blank. You're going to do something, that's your action, to someone, it's your scene partner or possibly yourself if you're on stage by yourself, in order to, and that's your goal. A simple little silly example is, I want to seduce Bob in order to get him to propose to me. So, nice and simple. Seduce, very playable verb, here's your scene partner, and your goal is to get him to propose. Note that your goal, obstacle, and actions are in terms of the character. If you're writing a paper analyzing another actor's work, their goal is not to entertain the audience or get the audience to laugh or make the audience feel something. No, no, no. Their goal is in terms of the character. What does this character want? That's called being in the moment and really playing an action. So, your actions change throughout a play. A play the way to divide up a play, of course, plays could have many acts, up to 5 acts if it's Shakespeare. If it's a contemporary play, it could be a 1 act, it could be a very short play, it could be a 10-minute play. In each act is divided up into scenes. It might be labeled scene 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or it might not be. It might be more organic way of sort of breaking the scenes up. A neat little bit of cocktail trivia is a French scene is whenever one character enters or exits. That's a really useful way to look at scenes because whenever another character enters or exits, that means probably that your action is changing if you're staying on stage. So you have an act, you have a scene. Within each scene, there will be a few, maybe many, beats. A beat is a unit of action. A unit of action is when a character is playing one action. They have a goal, and they are trying to get it in one way. Sometimes when your action changes, your goal changes, but it's really more useful, it's more common that you just change the way you try to go about getting your goal as opposed to your goal really completely changing. Now, the term verb and actions are sometimes used interchangeably, which is understandable because your action is always going to be a verb. Usually your action is expressed more in terms of a phrase, I want to seduce Bob, and a verb is a little tool that you might use along the way. Basically, a beat is one unit of action. You have a goal and there's one thing that you are doing in order to get it. The action is what you're doing within that beat. The verb can be looked at as little tools that you might do along the way. These are smaller verbs that help you play that action. Like if your action is to seduce Bob, then maybe along the way you have other smaller things that you're doing that are helping you play that action, helping you helping you seduce. But that's taking it to the next level. For our purposes, let's just concentrate on one action per beat. The other term that it's really important for an actor to know is given circumstances. These are the unchangeable facts that you have to incorporate into your decisions about what you're going to do on stage. It's the who, what, where, and when. Simple facts. What's the setting? Where am I? What time of year is it? Who is this other person that's on stage with me? The given circumstances, you do not have a choice over them as an actor. They come from the play, or they could come from the director. In order to get your given circumstances, you have to read a play pretty carefully. These days, contemporary playwrights tend to write in more spare language, where you really have to read between the lines and understand the subtext. But it's pretty clear, if you really know how to read a play, what the given circumstances are. Every actor will play every character in a different way. How many different Juliets are there? There's a different one for every character, for every actor who plays her. But she's always going to be in love with Romeo. Her dad's always going to want her to marry this other guy that she doesn't want to love. Those are just the given circumstances. And it's those given circumstances, those nuts and bolts, that inform your choices about what action to play in each moment. Learning your actions and playing your given circumstances is as important as learning your lines. And you should learn them at the same time, because eventually you won't be thinking about them. On opening night, you don't stand in front of the audience and think, oh, in this moment, I'm manipulating, I'm doing this other verb. If you're doing that, then your performance is not going to be very good. Your actions need to become part of your body, just as your lines need to become part of your voice. You've got to internalize all of this. At first, like in an acting class, you might feel like, oh my gosh, this is just a vocabulary class. But once you really key on the right verbs, they will help you more than you can imagine. And eventually you do forget about them. It's your job to be a storyteller, first and foremost. It is not your job to be a generator of emotions. And telling the story means understanding your given circumstances and your character's actions in each moment. Acting is just being alive and specific in each moment. If it were as easy as that, we'd all be movie stars. But it's simple, but it takes a lot of practice. I really love this phrase, living believably within imaginary circumstances. Just think about that for a moment, and it really helps express what actors do. Imaginary circumstances are the given circumstances of the play. You are in an imaginary situation when you're on stage, and there's tons of people out there, and there are people backstage, and when you're acting for the camera, and there's all these people around. So they are imaginary circumstances. If you ever believe that they are not imaginary, I suggest that you go get some psychotherapy, because that is not acting, that's psychosis. And that's a problem that a lot of actors encounter. hence all the romances that tend to crop up every time you direct play. So here we go. It's very important that we know that all verbs are not created equally. Activities are verbs, but they are not actions for an actor. Running, slapping, kicking, fainting, whatever. They are a simple means to get what you want. They are not the action that you are doing in order to play an action. And we'll look at what makes a good verb in just a second. Though these are activities, some people also call them errands, because it's hard to fail at them. You could try to slap somebody and they could block your hand, but really it's hard to fail at doing that. A good actor's verb is going to be something that has some emotional weight to it, and something that you can fail at. So think about slap. What are you really doing? You're attacking somebody. Attack has some emotional weight. Slap is simply an activity. Just off the top of my head, some verbs that are good actor verbs: seduce, attack, convince, persuade, blame, wrangle, encourage, and you can see the rest of the list there. So those are good verbs, actions that are the type of verb you're looking for as an actor, and when you're what you're looking for in another actor's performance. So this, let me see if I can flip over there without horribly changing things. I can't do that. This book, A Practical Guide, Handbook for the Actor, is where I got this list. My screen's doing weird things. Here's the info here. It's published by these guys. It's out of print. You can actually find a PDF of it online. Here's this web address. It is a short, really good read, and it's everything I've explained in this PowerPoint, in this lecture, is reinforced in that book, and they explain it a lot more depth than just a silly 15-minute lecture. Anyway, so what makes a good verb? Something that you can do, something that is physically capable of being accomplished. It must be compelling. It must be something that you as an actor would find interesting. It must be specific. This is the heart of all good acting. All good acting is playing very specific circumstances, very specific moment. Every moment in every play is different. It's important to know how each moment is unique to you as a character. It must be testable by the other person. You should be able to know if you're getting close to achieving your objective and playing your action by how your scene partner is reacting. It must be something that you can fail at. I already talked about that. It should not presume an emotional state. This is something that's kind of hard to explain now, but sometimes you might assume that a character is feeling something. You didn't write the play. You don't know what they're supposed to feel. You can just know what they're trying to do. It must have a cap. It must be something that you know when you've completed it. And it must be in line with the author's intentions. So one of the most important skills, as I've said, is for an actor to be able to read a play and mine the goals, obstacles, and actions for every moment in the given circumstances for the entire play. It's really good practice just to read as many plays as you can as an actor for many reasons, but it's really good practice to try to divide play up into beats and define your actions. It takes some skill, it takes some practice, but once you get the hang of it, it's really a fun task that you have to do for every time you perform.